That's because I went
energy, getting energy for war, getting all, holding it all back.
I'm gonna say I'm just sharing the show. I didn't expect someone to say I'm preparing for war.
It's quiet because I wins here. It's the silence before the storm.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I had a rumor we're gonna play the gravity game today. I don't know. I'm looking forward for this. Let's see what this is gonna go.
Depends on what mood I wins in, I guess.
Silence.
You don't want to give it away. He's just waiting, right?
Probably out having a cigarette or making a cup of coffee, actually.
Or just giggling, listening, like ha ha ha.
TikTok goes the clock, Nathan. It's 2 o'clock.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Jose, Arwin, and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you all.
Yo.
Good afternoon.
Mi casa es tu casa.
My house is your house. Like it. Right. Any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
No.
Poncha train, bend the bridge, soundly. Mr. Triban survived. He took on the challenge. He put a video yesterday. He said he's going to punch a train to record soundless observations, and he said if he's able to make the same observation, he is gonna say the Earth is a sphere, and he's gonna jump ship. So yeah, that's what Mr.
Rich said if he can replicate Soundy's observation, he'll jump ship and become a glober.
Yes, that came out of Mr. Thrive and Survive 3-minute video he put on last night.
Oh, God.
Good for you, Rich.
Well, we all know what will happen when Soundy gets asked to accompany Rich to the places to do the observations. Andrew, John, Rusted Soul, Jose is asked. And there's one other guy called Andrew, somebody else. That's 4 people that I know of that have asked Soundly to accompany them to do the observation so that they can repeat and critique Soundly's work. And he said no on every occasion. And I'm pretty happy that if Rich asks Soundly to join him, he'll get a big fat no. He'll be too busy. He'll be busy doing things, convenient and reasonable things, and he'll still not do it. Ballers will accept that that'll be a reasonable explanation and a reasonable excuse. And we'll all be saying, yeah, that's like the 6th person. And that's just the ones that we know about. We should have a running register of how many people have asked Soundly to go and validate his work with them, you know, so that they can ask questions and they can repeat it and whatever and see the technique and apply the same thing. And, you know, what do you know? He's never available. So call me skeptical, but it'll not happen. If Rich does go there, he'll be doing it on his own. But Soundly had a hangout last night saying, yeah, because what he said.
He did. He said he is inviting Rich to communicate with him so he can meet with him over there. So
Yeah,
Soundly invited him to communicate so he can meet and help him out with the coordinator.
Sean said he was going to sue FE Core for whatever it was, And that never happened. He said he was going to get this guy's audio engineer report. That never happened. He said he was going to set up a GoFundMe. That never happened. He said he was going to appoint lawyers. That never happened. And now he's changed his tune somewhat. He's now saying that he's not going to sue them at all. Apparently, he's going to wait for them to sue him. And they're not interested in what Sean thinks. So now we're at the state of play where we've got better evidence than Sean. Sean won't admit it. But basically, GeoStreamer and Soundly were whispering in the background, and we've got better evidence than Sean. And rather than admit it and say, do you know what, I can't trump that, he's basically said, well, sue us, sue him for something, right, to try and prove that our stuff, well, we're the one with the evidence, right? The assertion was that Soundly and GeoStreamer were whispering together, and we've produced two frequency spectrum analyses using two different people with two different pieces of software. One piece of software Sean has, and basically it's the strongest piece of evidence. Yet still some people think that Soundly was bleeding through my microphone. So basically Sean's got to drop his point. He can't prove that the sound came through my microphone. He doesn't want to follow through with his position, so we can just laugh at him.
All you've done is detail the obfuscation. Well done, Sean Hufford. No, the real situation is Anthony was having a chat with a guy called GeoStreamer, Alexander Nicol, and it was a one-to-one conversation about a flat Earth related subject. And during that conversation, GeoStreamer, the subject of this conversation with Bendy Bridges, was in the background coaching GeoStreamer, Alexander Nicol. So he was telling him what to say, what references to make, where to look, how to respond. And we have a contemporaneous recording of GeoStreamer and Soundly having a one-to-one conversation during a conversation with Anthony. That's what we have conclusive proof of. We have a recording of it. So while Anthony's detailed all the obfuscation that's come off the back of it, this recording of Soundly coaching GeoStreamer, what Soundly has said in the aftermath is that it sounds more like him, Soundly, coaching Anthony. Ha ha ha. That's Soundly's response. It sounds more like me coaching Anthony. Well, no. It's actually you coaching GeoStreamer, and the details that Anthony Riley's just given are the aftermath of shit smearing that they have done to cover up the fact that we have a recording of Soundly coaching Alexander Nicol during a supposedly one-to-one conversation between Anthony and Alexander. That's what we have, a recording of him being coached. And that's where all the obfuscation and details that Anthony gave have come from. That recording that we have of GeoStreamer being coached by this blatant liar, Soundly, who has done nothing but lie about it ever since. Lie, 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 lie. That's all he's done. That's every word that comes out of Soundly's mouth. He is a liar.
I strongly disagree. I think it was a setup.
We've been joined by GeoStreamer. How you doing, Geo?
Hello.
So why were you
I don't
being coached?
appreciate you're spreading these lies about me, and you clearly just recorded that soundbite over the recording. And yes, I do not appreciate false incriminations.
Not false. We've got a recording of you talking to Soundly, and you know it. You're a liar.
No. You're just
Yes.
twisting things.
I'm not twisting it. We've got a recording of you actually talking to him.
No, as I said, it was recorded over it.
No,
You guys are a bunch of liars.
we're not the
Crazy
liar.
flat
You're the
earthers.
liar. You're the liar, GeoStreamer.
That's it. I've had enough of you. I'm going to go now.
What a coward. We all know you're lying. We all know you're being coached by Soundly. It's an open and closed
Wait, what
case.
did I miss, guys?
Oh, nothing, Owen. We had GeoStreamer on temporarily.
I didn't even see it. I didn't even see him in the panel. I don't understand. Where did he come from?
He was
he in-
whispering
No, but
through
it was
my
very good.
microphone. He was whispering
That
through
was-
my microphone. It just happened to have a bleed issue. He was actually coaching me in the background.
That was very good.
Thanks.
Anyway, where were we?
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nope.
Any signs
Yes.
of Alexander Nicol?
Yes.
No, only the ether-based variety and the globe of the heavens-based variety.
Yes. I got one of the globe believer proofs. If not one of the best, probably the best they got is the two 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 points of rotation in the skies. One in the north, one in the south. One clockwise, one counterclockwise. And wait for it. Not every single star rise due east and set due west. And I explain you. So try to look at Polaris, for example. It's not going to rise, it's not going to set, it's going to stay in the sky. So two pole rotations on the skies, that proves an axial rotation.
So what are you talking about when you say south? Where is south?
Uh, in the opposite side of the north.
Oh, so we're already on a sphere and we're travelling to the opposite side of that sphere to prove
No,
this
he never
with
said
stars.
that. He never said that. He said opposite north.
I'm trying to put
So
it
for
in
north
a
to
way
be-
that I'm not saying hemisphere or
Yeah, but for
Might
north to be
say opposite direction.
but for north to be opposite south, it has to be antipodal to it, i.e. on the bottom of a sphere. Correct? We're going to be travelling to something that's the opposite side of the north, correct? So south is
You're
down.
begging the question for Jose.
yeah,
Though.
yeah, not
Yeah, you're
necessarily. No, not necessarily. Let's say I'm in a plane which is set up as a pond, and all the continents are set up in the middle. Let's say my north is in the center, and everywhere else is south. So I know there's one. There, the Polaris is right above the north or close to the North Pole. As for by Greenland or whatever, closer to Canada, you can see Polaris almost straight up. And if you really go down South America, there's going to be a different pole. I don't know what was the shape, but I know there's going to be one pole. And I mean, that's the argument. There's two rotation poles.
Yeah, but when you say pole, it implies antipodal directions, i.e. you've got an axis that travels between the two. So when you say pole, do you mean point of light about which rotates other lights? Because in that case, it's not a pole of anything. It's a point about which rotation of lights takes place above us.
Yeah, that's what I mean by poles. I mean, I know I could have find a better synonym, a better wording, but what I mean is a rotation point. Maybe it's not even a star in that point, but there's a rotation of stars going on in a specific spot.
Okay, and what does that prove? What's your claim based on that?
It proves that the skies are behaving a certain way that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I know the skies behave a certain way, and the globe believers say is easily explained on a spherical Earth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless you are to beg the question and say that south is antipodal to north, then it doesn't prove anything. Other than that, it's just lights in the sky above me doing what they do, unless you're going to draw a conclusion that the Earth is a sphere based on those lights. So it's either a case of beg the question or say that's nice.
I'm just proposing the argument and just putting it out there. I mean, they don't come in to put the arguments out, and I hear this argument over and over and over. And this is the way every time I jump in a whatever panel, they explain it to me. I understand it if I put myself 2 years ago when I believed in the globe, and I understand it in the globe, and I still understand it now. I don't know exactly how it works because I don't know what those lights, what the lights are, how they behave, but it's easily explained in the globe. Now I'm just putting the argument out there. I just
Fair
want
enough.
kind of
Well, as
an
you've done it,
explanation.
I'll take it apart. So what you're essentially putting forward is a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. So the basic format is if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. If the Earth is a sphere, we will see rotation of stars in the north and southern hemisphere. We see rotation of stars in the north and southern hemisphere, therefore the Earth is a sphere. So the fallacy being that one doesn't necessarily follow the other. The other problem is that you're also, on top of having a formal logical fallacy, you're also begging the question. So the question is the Earth a sphere? And you start the answer with, if the Earth is a sphere, so you're already starting with the assumption that you're on a sphere. So you're also begging the question. So the star rotation is a begging the question, affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. It's very seldom noticed by the person that abuses it, because it is naturally assumed we are on a sphere. Therefore, it's okay, right? We can beg the question and just assume we're on a sphere to begin with, right? That's cool. We all know we're on a sphere. No, that's the fallacy. By getting you to automatically put yourself on a sphere and then observe the world of sphereness around you, then you're already in that frame of reference. You're already in that frame of mind. You're already in that logical dilemma of whether or not it's a sphere being solved for you. Well, you're already on a sphere. If the world's a sphere, then we will observe the following. Well, you're already observing it from a sphere, and you're going to make every equation work from there on in. Doesn't make the world a sphere, it's just a logical fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. To break it down for those that think, well, that's nonsense, well, the one does logically follow the other. Well, if I eat 10 hamburgers, I am full. I am full, therefore I ate 10 hamburgers. Well, no, the one doesn't necessarily logically follow the other. I could have eaten steak. I'd still be full. The one doesn't proceed or follow the other necessarily. But it does in the logical fallacy, the formal logical fallacy, affirming the consequent. To top it off, I'll say it again, it's begging the question, because the question is already in the answer. So if you're trying to find out if this is true, don't automatically assume it's true when you give the example of it being true. So don't say, well, if I travel to the southern hemisphere to observe the lights in the sky, you're already travelling south to the bottom of a sphere. You're already on a sphere. Why are you on a sphere? Well, because you put yourself on it for the beginning of this example. So logical fallacy, that's all the stars are, because the stars are above me. If I go many thousands of miles that way, they'll still be above me. For you to assert that right now the stars that I know I'll travel that way, outwards, to get to, are actually underneath my arse right now, no, I'm not just going to assume that because you say if the Earth is a sphere at the beginning of your sentence. The stars will always be above me and they'll always rise in the east and set in the west. Yes, the rotation point in the north will stay where it is and just appear as it appears, but the rest of the stars will rise in the east and set in the west. Moving on, unless there's anything else for axial rotation. Sorry, my bad, didn't mean to talk over you, I did pause.
No, thank you, I appreciate it. It's all good. Go ahead.
I'm glad that you put it forward. We don't often get to go through this much detail in the housekeeping. It's just asserted, is there any signs of axial rotation? And our understanding is there aren't, but you know, the ones that get asserted don't get asserted anymore because they've been taken to pieces. If anybody's out there that wants to present new evidence of axial rotation that doesn't require you automatically assuming you're on a sphere, then feel free to come on. 99 times out of 100 people come on and beg the question. So there we go. Can we move on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we still
Any
doing
evidence?
housekeeping?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
There is no distance to the sun. Oh, actually, no. There has been a couple of developments in the last day or two.
What?
Is it worth doing them now, or is it worth doing them later?
Absolutely.
Doing them now?
Yeah.
Right. So, as you guys know, that I've started doing a bit of research for the paper that I'm writing, and one of the things that I'm looking at is the distance to the sun. And obviously, everybody talks about, or Rumpus talks about, the transit of Venus as is proof for the distance to the sun. Now, it's our assertion that to get the distance to the sun, you need to know the distance to one of the celestial bodies, or you need to know the actual size. And I'll repeat my assertion: angular size is a sum. Angle size is a measurement, and they don't like that because they take issue with the word sum. But I use it in I use it intentionally to show that it's more than just an angle measurement. Anyway, point is, I've been researching whether or not there's any credible evidence for the transit of Venus, and one of the articles that I've been reading describes how Jodrell Bank was Jodrell Bank is a radio telescope that's not far from where I live. I can get to it 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And it's something I can really tangibly go and touch. I can go there and speak to people about stuff. And I've been reading about how Jodrell Bank was formed, who paid for it, who owns it. And basically, Jodrell Bank is seen as like our, I don't know, our diamond, as it were, piece of like astronomical equipment. It's seen as being very good. And so much so that they're thinking of scrapping it. The current government are thinking of scrapping it, and everyone's kicking off because of all the good things that it's done, like, you know, pinging the data for how far away Venus is, although that's not named in the list of things that they want to protect it for. But one of the documents I was reading is describing its relationship with JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, in America with regards to this pinging the radio frequency to and from Venus. Because Jodrell Bank was the first of its kind to try and do this, because at the time it was built, it was the most powerful, blah, blah, blah. And they weren't successful getting it done. They couldn't ping, they couldn't bounce a signal off, and they didn't know why. They were trying to figure out, was it because of A, B, C, D? And they couldn't get it right. And it got to the point where the best guess, or the best refined attempt to try and get this ping data back from Venus, was met with such a high level of uncertainty as to what they were actually looking at, that nobody agreed that it was actually ping data at all. They were all, it was inconclusive. And this is after playing around with it for months and months and months, trying to get it right. And the more they played with it, the less they got anywhere near it, and they felt as though they weren't achieving anything. Anyway, somebody from, now bear in mind the timing of this, early 60s, this is before Apollo, before the moon missions. And basically what happened was JPL gets involved. And what's happened is they've got down to a point where they've got the best results back that they've ever had, but there's nothing there. So when they've got this information back, they're looking into, it's a bit like Sean Hufford when he's doing that frequency analysis with the sound. What they've done is they've amplified the hell out of it to see if there's anything there. And basically, it's open to the interpretation of the person that's looking at the information. And the question becomes, are you looking at noise or are you looking at sound? Now, the ping data that's being bounced back is supposed to be in the picture. But if it is, the question is, well, where is it? And does everybody agree that that's what it is? And nobody agreed. Not one single person agreed in Jodrell Bank that there was a ping data that was clearly evident in the picture. So it's kind of like being told that where's Wally's in the picture somewhere. You've got to try and find where's Wally. And now someone's found this face in the crowd and nobody can agree that that's Wally. That's what
it's like listening to or trying to find ghost sounds in noise.
Yeah. Or it's
they're trying to find planets in the noise.
Yeah. It's basically like what Sean's trying to do. He's trying to isolate this particular little segment and claim that's what came through my microphone. But the problem is all the people, all the scientists or the engineers or technologists or whatever you want to call them inside Jodrell Bank, none of them could agree on what they were looking at. So obviously some people said it was the ping, some people said it wasn't, and they all gave the reasons for it. But the point was nobody agreed, right? So there wasn't this eureka moment where everybody thought that it was possible. So JPL gets involved. And JPL, some bloke at JPL by the name of Bob, he has a look at it and basically says, yeah, that's the ping data. And then once somebody had said it, then they all jumped on the back of it. But it took JPL to be able to say it, right? Now, JPL, bear in mind that they're going to the moon in a couple of years. JPL, and previously had been declared to have so by people in this group, have a reason for why they would be potentially biased. They've got a vested interest. Because they've not been to the moon yet, but they need to know how far the moon is so that they can calculate the fuel, for example, and all this. Or we would say calculate the deception. But nonetheless, they don't know the distance to the moon because you need one distance to get everything else. If you can get one, then you get everything else. But they need to get this Venus because they need to know how far away the moon is, right? So basically, that's where they're at. So nobody in England is agreeing. It takes JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories, it takes them to have a look at it. And then some bloke by the name of Bob writes back saying, yeah, that's the ping data. And then all of a sudden everybody agrees. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are they talking about? Why is it that nobody can agree to it? And then America gets involved. And it just so happens to be JPL as well. And then now all of a sudden everybody now agrees. Seems to be a little bit unreliable. It doesn't seem to be credible. Anyway, the document goes on and it talks about how this bloke called Bob wrote a thesis based on this, and it got him his doctorate. But his supervisor in the thesis was highly critical of it because he wasn't persuaded by the evidence that was being presented either. And basically, it gets a little bit political, but there's a lot of background to this that I didn't realize actually existed. Because I didn't know it was Jodrell Bank. I didn't know that they got a failed attempt in the first instance. I didn't know that JPL then verified it, apparently, or asserted it. And then from there, everybody else, all the other observatories around the world were trying to reproduce the result. And it got varying success. But ultimately, what I've worked out is that this ping data that's claimed as being the transit of Venus and the ping data, it's not exactly credible. It doesn't seem to be like a strong argument. So what I'm planning on doing is, Nathan, if I send you the link on Skype, would you put it in the main chat?
Yeah, sure.
So that people can have a read of it. Because I mean, it's so wishy-washy. There's no keywords in terms of how solid the information was, but the interpretations are, on one side, are very strong. But I'll give you one example. It says, on the 10th of March, 1961, a month before, and it says inferior conjunction, which means the transit of Venus. The Goldstone radars were pointed at Venus. The first signals completed the round trip of 113 million kilometers in about 6.5 minutes. During 68 seconds of electronic signal integration time, 1 of 7 styluses on Goldstein's instrument deviated significantly from its 0 level and remained at the new level. To verify that the deflection came from Venus and was not leaking from the transmitter or an instability in the receiver or any other reason, the transmitter antenna was deliberately allowed to drift off target, and 6.5 minutes later, the recording stylus on Goldstein's instrument returned to its 0 setting. The experiment was immediately repeated with the same results. JPL had achieved the first real-time detection of a radar signal from Venus, and Dick Goldstein had his dissertation topic. Now, that's talking about, I don't know what these styluses were, these 7 styluses on this instrument, right? But this is akin to being inside mission control and somebody switching on the red light and saying, when the red light happens, we're within the gravitational pull of Mars. And then the red light comes on and everybody cheers. Apparently, this stylus recorded it, right? Now, there's numerous issues with this, because the first issue is to allow the recording device to deviate off its target indicates such an incredible level of precision that I find that unlikely, given that Venus is a little tiny dot in the night sky, and for them to allow it to drift off makes that, to me, sounds like incredibly precise, right? And thinking of how much movement would be necessary to just drift it off the planet when it's that far away, you couldn't do it. I don't think that's realistically probable, because the reality is the smallest movement at all is going to be a big movement up there. So to allowing it to drift off target, to me, seems nonsensical. But anyway, this is what they said they've done, and there's a footnote for it. And Dick Goldstein's now got his dissertation topic. But in this document, it states that Dick Goldstein's supervisor in his dissertation, or in his university thing, was highly skeptical. And that's what it's described as, is highly skeptical. And I'll read, it says, Dick Goldstein wanted to use the Venus radar experiment as his thesis topic at Caltech, but his advisor, Hardy Martel, was highly skeptical. The inability of the Lincoln Laboratory plus, Jodrell Bank, to detect Venus was widely known. Although he thought the task indisputably impossible, Martel finally agreed to accept the topic, but with a firm admonition, I'm not quite sure what that word is, no echo, no thesis. So basically, the ping data coming back is really paramount. But the more you read through this document, the more it seems to me that JPL got involved, declared a victory, a bit like Wallace did on the Bedford Levels experiment, to which then everybody just jumped on board with and said, oh yeah, then if they've said it, then it must be okay. But nobody could agree with it initially. So Jodrell Bank's original observations failed. When they repeated it and narrowed it down to their best bet, it was inconclusive either way. Nobody could agree with it. JPL then gets involved, including Lincoln Laboratory, which is part of JPL. They couldn't repeat it themselves, but some bloke called Bob from JPL said, oh yeah, that's the ping data. So it seems now that there is this dead strong assertion after JPL's got involved that nobody could agree on beforehand. And now it seems to be true that, I say seems to be true, seems to be a given fact that they had a ping data. Yet what they've actually done is amplified the hell out of the background noise and then couldn't find anything. Nobody could agree. But then all of a sudden, some bloke in JPL said, yeah, that's the ping data. And basically then everybody agreed. And I'm like, how credible is that? That doesn't seem to be credible. It's almost as if JPL had a reason, the moon, 5 years later, to basically find some reason to get the distance. So at this point, I'm not exactly persuaded that there's a credible argument for the ping data of Venus or the transit of Venus, but it's definitely worth considering because there's quite a lot of critical reading that you can find. Basically, a lot of people are calling this bullshit, but without calling it bullshit. They're just saying that they don't agree, and it seems to be a lot of people not agreeing. So from a credibility point of view, they're definitely not all saying, "Yep, that's definitely a ping." It's just one bloke from JPL.
The evidence is vague.
Hey, Flat Earth Jeremy.
Evidence is vague, and there is basically.
Hey, Flat Earth Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well. Is this your first time here?
It is my first time here.
Good to have you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the debate, and I wanted to. I don't know if I can interject. I don't know if that's being rude, but I just actually wanted to ask you guys all a question.
Go ahead.
So I'm on a search for 5K, 6K, or 7, even 8K high resolution video footage of the largest optical telescope. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Lucifer, but
Yes.
Anyway, I can't find anything anywhere of just video footage, 5 minutes worth of an high resolution optical footage of space. They're all these painted pictures.
So what you're saying is the absence of a video from a digital telescope makes you suspicious.
Well,
digital,
you can say it's
optical.
digital. I'm saying it's
Optical.
optical, high resolution optical video. I don't know why you can't record.
It's fractal based.
I
No, no,
understand
it's
the
not
Fractal
Wait,
based
hold on,
animation.
hold on. Don't
that they
convolute what he's
basically
asking for.
overlay it.
He's asking for a
Exactly.
really high resolution picture of space through a normal
Yeah.
telescope. That's what he's asking for.
No, he's asking for a video of space, not picture.
Or whatever.
I'm asking for 5 minutes. So when it's minutes, we're looking at a video. So I'm trying to hunt all this stuff down, and I can't find anything. And we're supposedly have the largest optical lenses in the world. Some of these astronomy instruments that I investigate. Now I understand they're shooting different ways of looking at the space and what's coming in infrared and etc. You know, there's a long line of them. And they view it on a chart, and it's a graph, and I understand all that stuff. But I'm not talking about that. See, I work in professionally in film, and I use very high-quality lenses. And I can get in and see a lot of detail on a lot of things with these lenses. Now, I'm nothing compared to what I've seen from, Lucifer and all that stuff. They do not show us nothing. I can't find anything like it.
Where have you been looking for it?
Just anywhere online, videos, you name it, science, anything. Just I try this out, try to find it. I dare anybody to show me any 5K, 6K, high resolution, large optical lens. Just point it out into space. It doesn't exist.
Nothing on the NASA.gov website.
I've been there. Nothing. I can't see any video footage of any high quality stuff.
Well, there is a practical problem with a 6-8K video. It's going to be absolutely huge when it comes to the 5-minute duration, right?
No, that is not an issue. And sensor size is really all it is sensor size.
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
So I'm just challenging anybody to look for it. I can't see it. I can't find it, and it blows my mind that with all the technology that we have, we don't have something to me which seems so simple. It seems to be overcomplicated.
Just posted some 4K footage in the side
cool.
chat.
Thank you, Alan.
Knock yourself out.
I've seen this stuff. It's painted CGI. It doesn't look.
Boom! I want to see it.
Painted CGI.
Well, I mean,
Yep. No, not painted. It's not hand. It's a fractal.
Painted
system.
CGI.
Sorry,
It's a
Alan.
fractal.
He did say specifically Earth-based, did you not?
So at the
Did you
end
not
of the
say
day,
Earth-based?
you're sitting there with a
Hold on,
device
we've got some confusion. Did you not say you wanted it from an Earth-based telescope, right?
That's correct.
So this is a picture of the view of the planet. So presumably this
Okay,
is not.
knock yourself out.
Sorry,
Yeah, but
this is
all
not
the evidence is the
Earth-based.
ISS.
This is
All
off
the evidence
Earth,
is
right,
ISS.
Alan?
Hey,
That's
Travis.
really me. Hey.
Sorry, Alan. Did you not understand what I was asking for?
That'll cover it, though.
I've talked to 100 people at least. They don't get it.
Sorry, I just want to get some clarity from Alan. What was that
Hang on, Nathan.
misunderstanding about, Alan?
Something weird going on with the volume. I can't hardly hear anybody. Hang on.
Yeah, did you not understand what was being asked for, Alan?
They don't. It's
Yeah,
like
you just said that people
they
misunderstand.
overlook it, and they go right to the ISS down to Earth. They do not get the concept of looking from Earth up. It blows my mind.
Hello.
Still no answer
It's
from
all-
Alan.
It's always looking down. Everything's looking down.
Like Alan just presented.
Exactly.
So, did you not understand what he asked for, Alan? Where's the confusion?
It's like a blockage in their brain. They just don't get to look up. In reality, they look down. Gravity down.
So Alan was the one that presented it, though, and I'm yet to get an answer. You keep answering for him. Did you not understand what he asked for, Alan?
Yes, I did. I just got problems with sound. Hang on.
So you're saying that you couldn't hear what was asked for? You joined and
Did
then
you not hear when I said hang on?
Obfuscate all you want. You're wrong.
I'll find you some footage, young man.
Sorry,
Painted.
we still haven't got to. Let's not argue about what you'll get. You just said here is that footage. So he asked for something very specific, and you said
that's not what I said at all.
You said here's some 8K footage.
I said 4K. Open your ears, cloth tabs.
So regardless, you said here's the footage, and he had specifically.
Regardless of the
why
facts.
Why are you talking over me?
I actually said.
Why are you talking over me? I've asked you the question 5 times and been met with silence, and now you're talking over me. What's the problem here? I'm either going to highlight...
Because you're being rude.
Well, you're being stupid or ignorant or deaf. So which one is it?
Probably all three, according to you.
Well, you tell me. Did you not understand what he asked for?
Yes.
You didn't understand. Yes, you didn't understand what he asked for?
Yes, I understood what he asked for.
Why didn't you present it then?
I've got a load of footage here. If you shut up, I'll post it.
That's not what you've posted. Why didn't you post what he asked for if you do have what he asked for?
You're not in charge. You seem to think you're in charge of everything. You're not in charge of anything, little man.
There you go. An insult.
I'm in charge. I'm asking a very specific question. I'll ask it again. If you understood what he asked for, why was that not what you presented?
What's this guy's name? I'll talk to him directly.
I'm asking you.
I don't care about you.
Are you in a trolling mood, Alan?
No, not really.
We'll get to the bottom of this. We'll get to the bottom of this if Alan likes it or not. Either he's ignorant, in other words, he heard what was said and ignored it, or he didn't understand what was asked for, in other words, he's stupid, or he's deaf. He didn't hear what was said. I want to know which one it is. Is it deaf, stupid, or ignorant, Alan?
I'm not answering you. I'm not talking to you.
Well, let's discuss it without Alan talking then. Should we discuss it? Should we kick you out and discuss it without you here, Alan? Should we discuss whether or not you're deaf, stupid, or ignorant in your absence? If you don't want to discuss it.
You're going to kick me out because I've got some footage for this guy?
Let's see it. Why didn't you present it when you were asked for it? Let's have a look.
You're tying me up with all this stupid arguing. I've got footage for the guy.
He asked for something very specific, and that's not what we got. And I'm trying to establish why. What's wrong with that?
I've got footage. Give me 5 minutes.
Why?
In the meantime,
why do you need 5 minutes? So you don't have footage.
A clock tap is.
So you've lied. You said, I've got lots of footage here. Now you need 5 minutes.
You fucking idiot.
Did you just call me an effing idiot?
Yes.
Right, get out. You clearly want to be kicked while we discuss how ignorant, deaf, or stupid Alan is. Because he basically made the guy's point for him. The guy made the point, he came, gave exactly what he predicted. Stuff from the sky. And then he apparently had lots of footage, obfuscated, and then claimed he needed another 5 minutes to go and find what we actually asked for. This gentleman here, I've forgotten your name already, my bad. Flat Earth something.
Flat Earth data.
Flat Earth data.
Yeah.
So yeah, you made your point beautifully for you and then obfuscated like a bitch.
Well, I'm glad you accepted me on your show. It's a great show. I've learned a lot through the debate. So much appreciated.
I'm just glad Alan came on and made your point for you so beautifully. Perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm disappointed at Alan. Come on, Alan. There was no need to call names. I mean, we really wanted to see this, but then you took the wrong approach, you know? Sorry about that, you know?
There's nothing that for the standard of quality of footage that I am access to on a regular basis and the technology that I see, we are not being shown what these telescopes see, in my opinion. That's it. And I think our minds would be absolutely blown in the way that it's blown now. But I listen, I don't know if this is either true or speculation, but I was rummaging through Big Bang information cosmology, and somewhere along the dogma, I came across that George Lemaitre wrote about water, and he actually wrote the Big Bang happened in water. So I'm trying to find this information, and like they're just not being honest. And I think when man was approaching science in the beginning, it was definitely on the shoulders of God, so to speak. And you know, they kind of, the farther they dived into it, the more they couldn't explain it. So they had to quantify all these unexplainable things. I don't know, magic. It sums up to magic to me. You guys got to check out this book written by Valis Newton. It's called A Scientific Mosaic. His daughter ended up, I think, helping him complete the book because he passed or something. But the book is mind-blowing. It's still a globe approach to the world, but you can see how man is trying to break it down from a biblical perspective with the heliocentric intention. But at the same time, you can see the imagination in it, like the description of the sun, like Newton Valis. Check it out. It's a very good read for everybody to discuss. I mean, you talk about gravity, you talk about the expansion of it's all there. This beginning, this birth of this discussion we're all having. I'm not articulated enough to, you know, go into more detail because I haven't, you know, sometimes you have to read things 5 or 6 times before you really understand the reason behind it, or the comprehension behind it. But your show has done a lot to the point where, you know, I end up flying airplanes and trying to get, you know, a light wing ticket to understand a gyro and how it works. With a, you know, you've got an attitude.
How do you spell his name?
Say again, Travis.
How is his name spelled? The author?
Oh, Valis. So Valis Newton.
Oh, it's the opposite. I was doing Newton Valis. Okay, so it's
Valis is his first name. Newton is his last name.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, Valis Newton. No relation to Sir Isaac Newton, I don't think. But yeah, very, very interesting read. I mean, it's still you can see you can see it kind of weave itself in, you know, the idea of this heliocentric world, and sort of see the corruption in it. I mean, there's an art to the writing. I mean, he even talks about Lucifer. Like, it's crazy. These men that were in the 1800s, there was like 8,000 religions exploded. There was like tons of factions of science that were birthed in the 1800s. It's crazy if you read about the history of these people. And the crazier the idea you got, the more money you made. Rich people were paying all kinds of, you know, dollars for fantasy ideas.
I cannot find this guy on any search.
Yeah, so what you can do is you can go to the Congress Library of Congress. You use Library of Congress and type in go to the Library of Congress, and you should find it there. If not, you can go to my website, which is flatearthdata.com, and it's on there.
Okay.
It's in the searches there. I don't know which page it's on. But Library of Congress actually has some really cool pieces on Flat Earth, though. Really interesting information Library of Congress has. Some old literature in the 1800s.
A friend of mine, I called her on the phone yesterday, told me that recently, like really recently, like one of the biggest libraries in Brazil just burned down completely.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing they're digitizing all this material.
Yeah, they haven't, because they were like strangled with their budget by the government. Have been, yeah, so it was completely, yeah, it was in such a state that just it was nothing to be salvaged, pretty much. They just, how do you say, neglected it very badly, the government. So it's,
Well,
yeah, it's a big tragedy.
And this happened just recently?
Yeah.
Like how recent?
I haven't actually looked for news articles. I haven't. Yeah, I was on the phone. You know what? I'll try to look now if I can find anything. Yep.
Oh, and I'll apologize
Guardian.
up front. What's that?
Oh yeah, there's articles about it. Oh damn.
Well, right now, if you look at the world, there's so many things going on that I don't know if you guys ever have.
Yeah, you just look at this and sharing it. So. It's pretty.
Wow. Oh wow, September 3rd. Okay.
And scientific research. No, but it was also a cultural museum. So, yeah, the friend of mine is like really a librarian.
Ouch! She's pretty devastated.
Yeah, she is, because she knew what was in there. She even knows people that worked there, apparently, and there were like artifacts of like Amazon tribes stored there, and like primitive writings and art of peoples that no longer exist. So yeah, that sucks.
Well, I mean, they must have tried to recover as much as they could.
Yeah, they tried, but it spread very quickly. There was no sprinkler system or anything.
Did they say how the fire started?
No, that's the suspicious part. We've been, me and my friend, conspiracy theorizing about that. And
hold on, is that the real George? Hello.
Hello? Giving a few seconds. You always struggle.
Can I continue, sorry?
Find out if this is a troll that's going to snipe everyone.
It's not giving any sound.
George, speak up.
Got 3 seconds. Ah, right. Oh, I actually spoke out. Whatever. Anyway, as I was talking, there was no sprinkler system, and yeah, people tried to get stuff out, but it was huge, and the fire was already well underway when it was discovered. So, yeah, what can you do?
Well, yeah, but I mean, what do they do? I mean, they must have some. I don't know. What do you do? Actually, yeah.
Well, have a proper sprinkler alarm system installed, and have guards. Have personnel. Museums require funding, and they just completely neglected it. Oh wait, I was talking about a conspiracy theory. Yeah, because apparently, I don't know, it's unconfirmed rumors only through that friend. There has been a period in Brazil where basically the city farmers were basically leaving the Amazon people alone because they're still there. It's huge. Brazil is huge rainforest. But in recent times, they have been restarting, just sending hitmen over to, to get those people out there and to kill them and then claim the land. Because apparently that's a thing again. It used to be, and then it calmed down, and now it's again. So we conspire that it's basically cultural destruction. That could be that they just said, yeah, you know what, screw these people. We're just going to wipe their memory out.
Well,
So
what does it say?
stop caring about it so we can claim more land. It's very evil, but
no offense.
Yeah, no confirmation, of course.
Back into the world of reality, because we didn't even get all the way through housekeeping thanks to Alan throwing us off our track.
Sorry.
So there's a few people in the chat currently talking about space. So as somebody was I not looking when somebody presented evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Nobody's presented that evidence, Nathan.
So, space, outer space, the bit they claim is a vacuum, and then tell us all about what happens in vacuum chambers. Vacuum of space, that's just still a violation
Nathan,
of the second law of thermodynamics, right?
Nathan, they say that it's not a vacuum, though. They say it doesn't suck. This is their argument.
Yeah, it doesn't suck.
Hey, Alan is probably going to join in a different account.
10 to the
He wants
minus
to
11
pretend that.
Tor. So, considering if you back away from Earth and you're at Saturn, in their model, you look at Earth, it's a tiny little dot. And what it's surrounded by, that little tiny dot, regardless of how far out they push that atmosphere, it's surrounded by a vacuum that is 10 to the minus 11 Tor. Well, that's a second law of thermodynamics violation. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Entropy.
I agree. I'm doing this documentary, and basically what I'm doing is these repetitive questions over and over to each person I meet that's a heliocentrist or whatever. And that there's common, obviously, brainwashing. Obviously, they grew up with the same system we did. I'm looking, trying to. So far, the one thing that I've broken, what it breaks their brain, is this question of looking from Earth into space with high resolution optics. They can't find any. So I'm trying to break their brains, and I know it kind of sounds pretentious or whatever. And by the way, I want to apologize about the website. I did it, pretty loosely and as best I could for the time that I had. So it's not very good, but if you guys do check out that valid stuff, I'd like to come back and have a discussion on what you thought about it, because I think it's an eye opener on how to reach the globe heads, right? Like convert them in a sense, not to convert them to flat Earth, but convert them into the science of the fact that it's pseudoscientific. You know what I mean? The birth of magic in science. You know what I'm saying? There was a genuine push to learn science, but
it doesn't work because
I think
they are stuck in the mindset of, instead of taking facts and building something with it, the facts have to adapt to their model. It's just a way of thinking, and that's not going to work.
Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Much obliged. Thank you very much.
These guys are, like, I think honestly, Wolfie reads a script. That guy reads a script like there's no tomorrow. When you watch his videos, he's reading off a script.
Well, that could be. That's just a way of making videos. So some people use scripts, some improvise. That doesn't tell anything. When you're doing it live.
A lot of globe heads, though, and a lot of globe heads that are really, really passionate for the globe, they're script readers. It's like I work in film, so I know this shit. So it's actually very pathetic, in my opinion, because it's constructed in a way that when you construct things to be professional, it's fine. But if you're going to construe your idea, you have to script it. You know what I mean? Because you get caught up in your own bullshit when it's not scripted.
Yeah, but they can politicize it that way. That way they can feel it out what they're gonna say, and then put angles to it, and then manipulate a certain feeling. That's what they're focused on. That is their priority, because it is about
lying,
being convincing, and
It's about lying, yeah. And I work with a lot of actors, so there's this thing, this magic that disappears with acting, and a lot of like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I could be having a completely, entirely opposite conversation with an actor, completely out of his character that he's going to go and do in a scene in the next 30 seconds. He goes up in front of the camera and does the lines, comes back, we continue our conversation. This is what people are capable of doing, right? This is the capability.
I know. I can do it.
So here's the thing.
I wanted to.
When you get used to it, it's kind of like, you recognize it more. It's kind of like having those antennas on, right? So
it's about abusing. If you're going to actually act in your social life, your real personal social life, then you're going to get screwed up, because you'll lose track. Everything will become an act.
Yes, but it only applies if you know when people are like you. Are you an actor? Do you professionally act?
Nah, I had how do you say ambitions to at one point, but then I pretty much discovered what that scene is like, Hollywood and everything.
Well, here's the thing.
I would never fit in, but yeah, you know, I can act characters. I use it all the time. I'm a game master in a tabletop spoken RPG with dice and everything. So yeah, I am acting a lot of characters, usually right after each other, so I can quickly get into a certain character, and I train. Yeah, speaking, and I have a feel for accents and everything. So yeah.
Are you in a character when we
act.
talk about Gravity?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
So
Don't I sound like myself, except for when I get really angry?
I just want to jump back real quick to the vacuum. Voice of Reason has been interacting with the conference in Canada, and he took Mark Sargent's scientific challenges to task, and he made the point, it was said just a minute ago, but he made the point that vacuum does not suck. But what's interesting is that I've seen it in an article, and he also then reiterated. He said, now, while the vacuum doesn't suck, what we need to understand is that the atmosphere pushes, but the vacuum doesn't suck. But the atmosphere pushes. And that's where he's at.
Well, yeah,
So-
that's why it's phrased the way it is. How do you have gas pressure without a container? So the gas pressure that we experience is the bit I'm arguing about. We have gas pressure. I'm certain of it. So if you're going to assert, you globehead, that beyond that, the bit that we can't see, that we don't experience, that we don't go to, you know, even if Daddy told us that we went to and told us Santa's real, we don't get to go there. But if you're going to assert that bit's a vacuum, well, how do we have the gas pressure here? As you
Yeah,
say.
I didn't say he solved the problem. I just said that was his answer.
It's interesting that we've all got different levels of standards of evidence that we'll accept as well. Some people will accept word of man, like people that believe Scott Veitch's daddy went to space, no evidence. But ultimately, it's like we all have our own point that we'll accept something to be true or probably true. But it's interesting how low that standard is when ballers are there, because generally we're all quite hypercritical, skeptical, disbelieving of most things, and we want to answer. What's the answer to the question in hand?
And when we get an answer like, it's very easy, the net force acting on the atmosphere points away from the vacuum. That's fascinating, M. Scott Veitch. Let's see you demonstrate gas pressure without a container. Let's see you demonstrate that. Not words on a page, but a demonstration of gas pressure without a container. So let's see you do that.
But we are presented every 10 minutes with a high definition picture of Earth from the Himawari satellite. Thank you.
It's
So
not
what?
a picture though, is it? It's a composite.
They've got plenty of
It's not
gas.
real.
They've got plenty of vacuum chambers. So they
The
can create
Himawari satellite,
they can
you
create
can
what
go
they
and-
say is space. Now, put something inside that gas chamber that holds gas pressure without a container. Demonstrate it to me.
Was somebody just about to defend the Himawari then?
No, I was telling you the Himawari, you can actually go, if you search the, I came across the data site where you actually have each individual strip data, though I couldn't believe it. So the Himawari is sliced together, man. It's not, they tell you that the one page that it's on tells you that it's a single photograph. No, it's not.
No, it's three layers of data that's transferred into a picture. It's not actually real.
That's right. It's not real at all. And the fact
Why
is,
do they insist? It's just one photograph, one shot.
because they're the where the media released it, they released it with that a heading. They said by the Russian satellite, it was a single photograph. When you go research from the Russian thing, it's data. You can see the data files. I saw it for myself. This is, when I first started doing this research, it was like 2-3 years ago, and I wish I would have held on to a lot more. You kind of were really zealous in the beginning. You just go through tons of shit. Well, I wish I was a little bit more careful in capturing a lot of that data, because I overlooked a lot of things out of being zealous. You know, once you discover something like, holy cow, like this could be, you know, I don't know how you guys entered it in, but I laughed and I mocked flat Earth for a whole year. I laughed at any flat earther, man. And then I remember one of my last thoughts were, as a globe head, the sun and the moon, they're round. They're round. Earth's got to be round too. And then I started studying astronomy more, and then I found out the angular size were exactly the same. And I'm like, what? What do you mean they're exactly the same? So then that was it. I was like, that's bullshit. How could I believe that Earth is a ball when they're lying to me about the sun being 93 million miles away and the moon being a million miles away, or 203,000 miles away, whatever. And they measured the same size. So, you know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, these were the simple
The
realities, Occam razor moments, you know?
Well, there is an let's use the words of Brian Cox. So Brian Cox said I think it was giant. I'm not going to put it in quotes. It's not a direct quote. I think it is, but it might not be. So a giant cosmic coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. These guys take what's that? Not DMT. Is it DMT or the other one? There's the Brian Cox, and there's this other philosophical type guy like that they're just drug users, man.
Yeah, they're on shrooms.
No, it's not even shrooms. It's the next level up from shrooms. You know?
Super shrooms.
Blue super shrooms. That's what it is.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you, the live audience, for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend, or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!